What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Legitical Response. We cover political news. We keep you up to date and keep you informed with everything that the government does. Now, when you think Democrats, you don't ever really think fiscal responsibility. Why? Because Democrats are all about spending. Spend more, spend this, spend on this, do that. They just want to spend, and print more money, and print more money, and print more money. They go along with the modern monetary theory that states that you can just print your way into whatever the hell you want to do, and screw devaluation of the dollar, because why? We can just print more of those dollars. Well, you know, that's got to come to an end at some point, and Biden has just doomed everybody. We're not covering this story, but I just read a story earlier. Maybe I should cover it. Let me know down in the comments. Our reign as king with the dollar bill is coming to an end. The petrodollar is gone, in other words. They just ended a deal that we've had for the past 50 years that everybody that purchases oil from Saudi Arabia will do that in American US dollars. That deal has come to an end, and that's Biden's fault. I'm going to say that outright. I blame that on Biden for not renewing that deal in his damn brainless, ridiculous, stupid crusade against the climate agenda. This whole crap against the fossil fuel industry, wanting to tear down the fossil fuel industry with absolutely zero plans on how to replace it, right? They keep talking about solar panels and sustainable this and EV and all that BS, but there's no plan to replace it. We cannot just shift from internal combustion engines to electric vehicles overnight like that. We don't have the infrastructure to do that. We have all these coal-fired power plants in the country. I believe the country runs on like 60% coal-fired power plants, and he is wanting to shut all these down for his damned climate agenda. Right? Oh, we got to do something about the climate. Yeah. How about subsidize the technology to make our emissions cleaner instead of subsidizing these technologies that obviously aren't going anywhere? Solar panels is not going to get us out of a power crunch. In other words, if he shuts down all these coal-fired power plants and installs solar panels everywhere to make up for those coal-fired power plants, then that's not sustainable, even though they'll claim, oh, it's sustainable. No, I'm sorry. You don't always have sunlight, and we do have this inconvenient thing called nighttime. I know, battery backup and all that, but the battery technology isn't there yet to sustain that much of our economy, that much of our power grid. But these people just want to spend money like it's just outright ridiculous. So, but hang on, before I start, let's go ahead and get into the story before I rant on for the entire 20 minutes of this video. The Washington Times writes, Culture Wars. House passes defense bill as Dems protest partisan amendments. Yeah, no, they're not partisan amendments. They're actually getting rid of some BS from the defense bill, but let's get into it. The House narrowly passed its annual defense policy bill Friday after spending the week adopting several partisan amendments that hemorrhaged Democratic support for the legislation. In the end, only 6 Democrats voted for the bill, which passed 217 to 199, mostly along party lines. 3 Republicans opposed the measure. The bill, named the Service Member Quality of Life Improvement and National Defense Authorization Act, holy crap, could y'all have not come up with a better name for that? Authorizes the Defense Department to spend $895 billion in fiscal 2025, a 1% increase over the previous year. And this is always intentional. They always increase the defense spending for some reason. I don't know why. I'm not 100% certain on that. I can't really get into that, but I have noticed they always increase defense spending. It's like, why? Is our army getting any bigger? No, not really. We're actually at a recruiting loss right now. We are struggling to recruit new service members. So that's not it. It includes several provisions to improve pay, housing, health, and child care for military members. Democrats complained that Republicans transformed a bipartisan bill that advanced in committee on a 57-1 vote into a GOP messaging bill that has no shot at becoming law, with poison pill amendments targeting abortion and transgender healthcare access and diversity and climate initiatives. Yes, this is all stuff that was added on to the defense spending bill, right? Like, did any of that, by the way, Washington Times, did any of those things, abortion, transgender, diversity, and climate initiatives, does any of that involve the military? No, it doesn't. So that's additives added on to the defense spending bill that they're just trying to get rid of. We don't need those things. A defense spending bill should go toward the military and defense spending, right? It shouldn't go toward, hey, you want an abortion? We're going to go ahead and pay your travel costs and reimburse you, and you'll still get paid. No. Why should we pay for that? Why should the taxpayer pay for that? If you have a significant portion of the American population that doesn't agree with abortion, I don't think they should be forced to pay for somebody else's abortion. I don't agree with that. They have hijacked the National Defense Authorization Act in order to jam their extreme right-wing ideology down the throats of the American people. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries of New York told reporters Friday, "No, as you will see, but we haven't got into yet. No, that, as a matter of fact, that is a lie. Once again, a politician lying. Surprise, surprise, if you will. No, I'm sorry, we're not pushing anything down your throats." They're not pushing anything down your throats. They are getting rid of pork out of the Defense Authorization Act. Yeah, there's nothing partisan about this. These things were added on in a partisan fashion, so they are being deleted in a partisan fashion, if you will, because none of this has to do with the military, none of it has to do with defense spending, and we should not be forcing the American people to pay for stuff that falls under the umbrella of national defense spending that they don't want to pay for. See, you gotta love how the Democrats think. They think, oh, the American people don't, they're trying to force this down their throats. What are you talking about, Hakeem Jeffries? We don't all agree. The American people don't agree on everything. As a matter of fact, right now we are so hyperpolarized that we can't seem to come together on just about anything. So you cannot just say the American people outright on something like this. Now, I can say that I don't think the American people should pay for anything that the American people don't want to pay for. You can say that, but you can't say that we're shoving right-wing agendas down the Americans' throat. No, I'm sorry. That's not how right-wing agenda works. That's not how the Defense Act works. That's not how military spending works either. But let's keep going. The fact is, as long as the Democrats control the other chamber, they're not going to accept contentious partisan issues, House Armed Services Chairman Mike Rogers, Alabama Republican, told the Washington Times. The Senate Armed Services Committee marked up its version of the defense policy bill this week, mostly behind closed doors. A summary of the bill was scheduled to be released Friday. The amendments the House adopted to its bill that Democrats objected to include one to repeal a 2022 Pentagon memorandum that authorized paid leave and reimbursement of travel costs for service members seeking abortions. Why do we have to pay for that? Why are Democrats? This is a question for Democrats. Why are the American people being forced to pay for service members' abortions when a lot of those Americans don't agree with abortion? We are being forced to take part in murder, and we don't want no part in that. I really wish Democrats would stop speaking on behalf of the American people when, for the most part, the American people don't agree with their insane policies. Same goes to Republicans too, because a lot of Republicans do that as well. When we know damn good and well, we have a lot of people that are actually okay with abortions, just not up to and including birth, right? Like nobody can seem to agree on a cutoff date, right? Like I think a good compromise, like if it was up to me, you can't get an abortion at all. But I'm a person of compromise. I would be willing to compromise at 6, 8, even 9 weeks. That's fine. That's plenty of time for you to decide if you want to keep that child or not. To me, that is a good compromise. What is wrong with that? Nothing. But I still, even though I agree to that, I will give that concession, I still don't agree to pay for it. Right? I don't think I should be paying for any service members' abortions. Right? We are currently in a replacement crisis. We need more babies. That's what we need, folks. And these people seem to want to. That's something that's crazy. I'll cut right there. Like, imagine the messaging from Democrats, if you will. Right? Kill your kids. And if you have any kids, how about you go ahead and transition them so they'll be sterilized so they can't reproduce anymore? What kind of messaging is that? That's quite horrifying if you ask me. But, people buy into that stuff and they call it reproductive rights. Huh? No. There ain't nobody touching your reproductive rights. You most certainly have the right to reproduce. I can't stand the language of the left because they use those terms like all the time, constantly, and it's not apt to what they're talking about. Like, abortion has nothing to do with reproducing. It actually doesn't. Right? Like, you might be thinking, well, yeah, it kind of does. You're killing the offspring. No, that's not reproducing. That's actually anti-reproducing, if you will. That's destruction. So calling it reproductive rights is just outright wrong in any context. Doesn't matter. You cannot call it that. Call it abortion, call it murder, call it whatever the hell you want except for reproductive rights, because you shouldn't have the right to murder an innocent baby. But once again, like I said, there is a compromise within there. Another would ban military health plans from covering hormone treatments for transgender individuals or sex reassignment surgeries. Once again, this was attached to the National Defense Authorization Act, where it shouldn't have been. That is a partisan attachment from the left, right? Like, once again, why are we saying, yes, we'll go ahead and pay for you to sterilize your child or sterilize yourself? Why should the American people have to pay for that? Right? Like, it should be put up to a vote, if you will. If the American people want to pay for that, set up a fund where they can go and donate money and let those people pay for that. Right? I shouldn't be forced to pay for that. I don't believe that's the right thing to do. I don't think that affirming your delusion is the correct course of action, in that I think they need a therapist and maybe a pill or something, right? Like, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not trying to give out any kind of advice whatsoever on any of these topics. I'm just giving you my opinion. I don't think we should go and just sterilize people, for goodness sakes, to fix their brain problems. Like, huh? That makes no logical sense whatsoever. And to get the American people to pay for it, forcing them to pay for it, that makes even less sense, especially when you guys in the government are spending in a $1.7 trillion deficit. No, you can F off with all of that. How about you make some budget cuts somewhere and balance your damn budget just like every other American has to, because we can't go and spend more money than we make, right? You might think credit cards. Yeah, you go ahead and you start blowing money on credit cards and see where that gets you. You'll be swimming in debt before you know it. Other GOP amendments adopted would prohibit funding authorized in the bill from being used to implement President Biden's various climate-related executive orders and eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion positions in the Defense Department. Yes, thank you, Republicans, for doing that, because Joe Biden's climate agenda is destroying this country. And this diversity, equity, and inclusion BS is racist outright. It absolutely discriminates on the basis of race. You know, if you're white, you're not included, right? And inclusion is in diversity, equity, and inclusion. But you're excluding an entire segment of the population? Somebody out there, any of you Democrats, please let me know how that makes logical sense. Somebody, please, because explain it to me, because you guys are the ones that are all getting behind it and pushing diversity, right? When you're trying to make up for past discrimination, I get it. Go ahead. I mean, I think we've already made those achievements, in my opinion. But I'm white, right? Like, I shouldn't have an opinion on that, huh? No, I think the Civil Rights Act totally equalized the playing field, if you will. You can't discriminate on the basis of race anymore. So, hang on. Do these people want to repeal the 1965 Civil Rights Act? Because that's exactly what diversity, equity, and inclusion does, because you are absolutely excluding white people from this. Don't believe me? Go ask somebody that is a DEI hire, and yeah. See how many DEI hires are white. I don't understand why we have all these cultural conflicts manifesting in a defense budget. Rep. Ro Khanna, a California Democrat, told the Times. What does any of this have to do with national security? Thank you for some levity in this situation from a Democrat. Yes, I've talked about this Democrat before, Ro Khanna. He's kind of based for a Democrat, right? He makes sense. I think he's a good Democrat. Huh? Holy shit! He's saying Democrats are okay. Yes, there are Democrats out there that are okay, right? But most of them, you know, in the establishment for sure, but most Democrats have these insane ideas, like to make the American people pay for military abortions and military transitions, sex transitions, right? Like, why? Why should you force the American people into your ideology? That doesn't make any sense. No, go ahead and get out of here with that, right? Like, you would think from the title of this news article that they were trying to force right-wing ideology on people, right? But no, that's not it at all. Not even it at all. And that's something that I talk about all the time. The corporate press lies so much. They twist these stories around so damn much that they don't know what the truth is anymore. They are looking at everything through a partisan lens, through an ideological lens, if you will. So, sure, everything they see is going to be from a left-wing perspective. So, that to them is normal. But when you break it down, no, it's not normal. Not in a defense spending bill. You treat these people just like everybody else. If they want to buy an insurance plan that covers abortion or covers transitions, yeah, okay, I would be fine with that. Buy an insurance plan that does that, whatever. But the fact that you're going to force the American people to pay, no, I'm sorry. I don't want to pay for your abortions. And even some Democrats can see the light. Like, why are we putting these culture war issues into a national defense budget authorization bill? It makes no logical sense. I'll say it again. Ro Khanna. I'll get a shout out to Ro Khanna right now. That was a pretty based take, if I must say so myself. Mr. Khanna was the sole vote against the previous bipartisan version of the bill that passed the Armed Services Committee. Based. Once again, based. Because he sees the writing on the wall. Why are we putting all this BS into a national defense? Right? Like, this should have nothing to do with the Army. Absolutely nothing to do with the Army. Although he supports some of the provisions in it, like those improving quality of life for service members, he said, overall the bill reflects an antiquated national security strategy that doesn't use taxpayer dollars efficiently. Exactly. Paying for your service members to go get abortions or transitions or this climate agenda BS, right, it has nothing to do with the military whatsoever, and it's a very inefficient way, and it's one of the reasons we are spending a $1.7 trillion deficit. At least there are some Democrats. That gives me faith in the Democrat Party that maybe one day they can use a little bit of logic. Yeah, go ahead and push all your left-wing agenda BS, but at least come with some logic. At least have some science to back you up on this, right? Like, at least have some basis of rational thought. You can put some sentences together that actually make sense, that would make me take a back and be like, okay, hang on. I gotta think for a second to comment, because it was logical. Because I don't have an argument if you come up with a good logical reason as to why we should do this. However, there is no logical reason. You know what the argument would be from them? Well, you're a bigot and a transphobe. No, I'm not. I just hate illogic, especially when it comes to my taxpayer dollars. We need to move to a modern national security strategy that is focused on semi-autonomous vehicles, that's focused on AI, advanced technology, naval superiority in the Pacific, but that doesn't have the same waste, he said. It's not about how much we spend, but how much we're getting out of what we're spending. Exactly. Man, once again, I will say it. Shout out to Ro Khanna. That is a very based take for a Democrat. Now, I've mentioned him before in previous videos. He is probably the only Democrat that I will shout out like that and say, you did a damn good job. Whoever in California voted for this guy, good on you guys. You guys are great, because this guy is based. Sure, he may love abortions, and he may love the transgender community and think, hey, if you want to trans your kids, go ahead. But at least he's got enough logic to see the writing on the wall that, hey, most of America don't agree with this, so maybe we shouldn't force the American taxpayer to pay for our ideological BS. Maybe he thinks that way, maybe he doesn't. Once again, like I said, if you're going to promote your ideology, at least bring some logic behind it so you have a decent argument, so it's really hard to oppose your ideology, right? Like, if you want people to get behind your shit, then at least make it make sense to me, please. Mr. Rogers said he would have preferred the House reject the partisan culture war amendments because they're not productive and distract from more important policies in the bill, like those designed to improve quality of life for service members. How does, once again, how does hormone therapy and transition surgeries, how does that improve quality of life? Right? Like, we know for a fact the LGBTQ trans people in particular have a very high suicide rate. How is that improving their quality of life? Once again, how is murdering the life you created improving your quality of life? It's not, as a matter of fact. These people just don't seem to get logic whatsoever. That's why I do say there are cultists out there. The climate cultists are cultists. The LGBTQ, those are cultists. Yeah, because they just blindly follow that crap and just don't think logically whatsoever at all. Those provisions include a 19.5% pay raise for junior service members and a 4.5% increase for others. The measure would also boost the housing allowance to cover the average local area rental rate, fund improvements to military housing units, and expand access to medical care medical and child care. Yes, good on all that. They should vote for this. But voting to take some crap out of it that is forcing the American people to pay for stuff that they don't want to pay for, or they may not want to pay for, like, because I can't speak for all Americans. Some Americans may be okay with that, but I highly doubt it. I bet if you take somebody and you go on a street corner and say, hey, do you think we should be paying for service members to get abortions? They'll probably say no. Probably say no. Right? And then backdoor ask that, do you think they should get abortions? They would probably say yes, sure, if they want to, whatever. You know, who am I to decide that? Right? Once again, that's why I'm willing to compromise, because there is serious constitutional questions around abortion. Like when should the government step in to protect a life? Or, you know, versus forcing somebody to actually do something. You know, when is that limit? In my honest opinion, between 6 to 9 weeks. Once you get past that, that's a baby. That is a human baby that you're killing. But, you know, these people don't think that way. They just want to push their ideological BS on everybody when knowing everybody doesn't agree with all that. They're trying to push their far left ideology and trying to make it normal. That's why they'll call you a bigot. That's why they'll call you a racist. That's why they'll call you a transphobe, to try to scare you into their ideology. Don't buy into it. Don't let them do that, right? Like, it's the same thing they're doing with Trump. They're constantly lying about Donald Trump. Blah, 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 blah. He's this, he's that. He's going to lock us up. Yeah, if you committed a crime, the DOJ will absolutely come after you. But you could say that about anybody, right? It's not Democrats that he's going to be coming after. It's criminals that he's going to be coming after. But once again, don't let these people lie to you. The corporate press loves to lie. The corporate press loves to twist this stuff around to push their far left, their extreme left ideology to try to normalize this insanity. It's just outright insanity. I mean, for God's sakes, they call Christians evil. Huh? Yeah, that's the funniest thing I think I've ever heard. Calling Christians evil. The people that go to church on Sunday. The people that, hey, when you get sick, what do they say? We'll pray for you to make sure, we'll pray for you to heal. We'll pray for you to get better. Yeah, those people are evil. No, I'm sorry. You are evil trying to push your BS degenerate ideology on everybody. That's just the fact of the matter. Sorry, close the door. There's no more argument to be made. That's just how it is. And wow, I think I've rambled for too long. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it short right there. Cut it short, I say. I ain't cutting nothing short. Been going for 30 freaking minutes. But I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Do y'all think we should put all this ideological BS into these defense spending bills, right? Like, it's the opposite of what the Democrats were saying. Trying to say to push their right-wing ideology on everybody. No, we're trying to take left-wing ideology out of it. That's exactly what they're trying to do. But, leave it to the corporate press to skew a story and just go ahead and run with what the Democrats say because, those are the authorities, y'all. No, sorry. Let me know what you think. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching. And hey, hopefully I earned a subscription. And don't forget to hit that like button on your way out. That's all I got. Y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.